It's Mike Emanuel time, Fox News Chief D.C. Correspondent. He'll be in the anchor chair, high noon on Sunday our time. Special report for Brett Baer, 5 o'clock on Labor Day. Mike, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
John, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you. Thanks so much. I know your time's very valuable. I thought it was gracious what Biden said about McConnell, but certainly people are noticing Mitch McConnell, Dianne Feinstein, John Fetterman, and yes, of course, President Biden.
Yeah. It adds to the argument for either term limits or some kind of age requirement, because clearly, and I don't have any ill will toward McConnell or Feinstein. They've always been professional with me. But I think a lot of these folks have a hard time just knowing when time is up, like when it's just time to go. Enjoy whatever time you have left with your family, with your loved ones. Do whatever you like. They have a hard time giving up power and prestige. And so maybe at some point the system needs to be able to tell them, okay, why don't you go sail off and enjoy your retirement?
You know, Fetterman, look, he's much younger than the other three, so
Sure.
I'll give him a benefit of a doubt that he had a terrible stroke and it's debilitating, but it hasn't put him out of the game. So, you know, he can, as long as he can discharge the duties of his office, and that's up to the people in Pennsylvania, fine.
Sure.
But did you see the poll that Democrats, 70% of Democrats think Biden is too old to stand for re-election?
Yeah, they're freaking out because, you know, you can see it. He's not the same guy he was 5 years ago. Certainly not the same guy he was 10 years ago. Father Time catches us all, right, John? So, I mean, it's not being disrespectful. It's just reality. Age in your 80s, you're supposed to be on a porch enjoying your life, or at the beach, or with your grandkids, or on a golf course, or whatever makes you happy. Go enjoy your life. But, like, being leader of the free world, I think a lot of folks think it should be a much younger person in better health on top of their game. And so Democrats are freaking out because, out of respect, more viable candidates are not jumping in. And so it creates a dilemma for them.
Yeah, I would say so. And I mean, I don't understand why it's baked in the cake so much on that side of the world that he's the only guy that can beat Donald Trump, the presumptive nominee. I don't see that logic. I mean, 85 million people voted against Donald Trump, not necessarily for Joe Biden last time around. I don't know why he just doesn't say, okay, my card has been punched. I'm not endorsing the VP. I'm not endorsing anybody until after the Democratic convention, but I'm done. I've done my duty. See you later. I don't understand why he's so reticent to do that.
Unless he does it. You know, maybe he late this fall says, you know what, it's been a great run. Let somebody else do it. And so you see Gavin Newsom, your governor, a few other people suddenly jump in and see if they can capture magic. But I think it may be another sign of, you know, once you have power, it's really hard to give it up. And so unless a family member comes to him and says, time's up, he may very well go for another term.
He should also say, look, my son's in trouble, and I'm gonna step aside to eliminate this as being a distraction for the Democrats. I'm going to go help my son. See you later. I'll be in Delaware writing my memoirs.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're always a president, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Elite club. You serve one term, you serve 2 terms, you're still former president. Yeah. And you still get the entourage escorting you everywhere you go.
Yeah, some entourage is larger than others.
Yeah, sure.
Mike Emanuel is here from Fox News. According to this new Emerson College polling survey, Nikki Haley saw the largest increase in support after the Fox debate. She went up 5 points. Do GOP insiders think she's a real contender?
She's got a long way to go, but I think a lot of the D.C. Beltway Republican types were very impressed by her performance the other night with 8 candidates on stage. It's not easy to stand out. She was strong. She was articulate. I think a lot of folks give her credit for being honest on abortion. You know, there are not 60 pro-life votes in the United States Senate. And so finding, you know, as much common ground on life issues in Congress is the way to go. And so I think she got a lot of credit for being fast on her feet in terms of foreign policy, on the passionate issue of abortion on both sides, a very passionate issue. And so she got a bump, and we'll see if she can build on that.
Well, she's stuck with a Republican, Republican point that it's a state's issue. So, people in Kansas aren't going to feel the same way as people in Massachusetts. So that's where they were for 30 years. I don't know why everybody has to pivot to a federal law now. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise diagnosed with a blood cancer. He's had a rough go since the shooting. What's the latest on Congressman Scalise?
Everybody I've talked to sounds hopeful, optimistic that it's a highly treatable form of cancer, but you're absolutely right. I was covering the Hill when he was shot and nearly died. I was there the day he came back to Capitol Hill walking with those crutches. I covered him all through all of the surgeries he went through, and it's been quite a long road. And so to hear that he has cancer now, you feel for the guy, your heart goes out to him. Hope and pray that he makes a full and speedy recovery.
Who's the Democrat who's wearing the do-rag now, for lack of a better descriptor, also has cancer? I forgot his name.
Jamie Raskin of Maryland, who was one of the impeachment managers when Trump was in office and is the top Democrat right now on House Judiciary, if memory serves.
And what's his status on it? Gosh, as we get older, all we talk about is health.
Yeah, he seems to be doing well. Just, the hair obviously took a hit with all the cancer treatment, so he's got the Steven Van Zandt look with the scarves.
It is not a good look. I'm sorry. We all understand that you're going through treatments. Okay, we've seen it before. You don't need the Steve Van Zandt thing. It works for Stevie Van Zandt on stage. I don't think it works for a congressman. My own thoughts there.
I guess he figures if it works for the E Street Band, what the heck?
I guess. Retired Army General David Petraeus. I have a lot of respect for the guy.
Sure.
He complimented the Ukrainian military, which is we don't hear that very often, for their counteroffensive. He said the Army has adapted very impressively. Is he in the minority, and is D.C. still confident about Ukraine's chances?
I think a lot of people feel like Ukraine is stuck right now, and it's kind of a stalemate between the Russians and the Ukrainians, and a lot of stuff's being fired back and forth, and there's a lot of devastation, but not necessarily regaining territory from the other army. And so I think there are a lot of folks here in Washington who may be losing some patience, getting a little tired of the blank check for Ukraine. Even if it's on the right side of history, they're just wondering, how do you make significant progress to bring this war to an end? And so, I respect the heck out of General Petraeus. He knows, or he's forgotten more about war than I will ever know. So if he says that, that's great. But I think a lot of other folks here are really wondering if the Ukrainians are going to be able to win this thing.
Did you ever see the Brad Pitt movie based on Petraeus?
Yes.
I forgot the name of it, but I thought it was pretty well done.
Absolutely.
And finally, Dana Perino, your colleague, she co-hosts America Reports and The Five. She guest hosted Tuesday's edition of Gutfeld, and I thought she roasted him and other colleagues. She's quite talented, isn't she?
She's a rock star, and in fact, it was just announced today that she's going to do the Fox Business debate September 27th. And so I've known Dana, I've known Dana a long time when she was at the Bush White House, and she's a great person. She's super talented, and I think she does a phenomenal job on whatever she sets her mind to. And so whether it's Gutfeld or a Republican presidential debate, she's mighty talented.
Is she doing that solo?
She's doing it with Stuart Varney of the mighty Fox Business. And I forget who the person is from the partner network. Forgive me for that. But it caught my eye that it's Dana and Varney, and should be quite a show.
Do you think Stuart Varney gets more credit for being smart just based on his English accent?
He is smooth. I could listen to him read the phone book. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I always feel those guys get a few extra points just based on the accent.
It certainly does sound like it raises the IQ. There's no doubt about that.
Are you going to be able to swing the clubs this Labor Day weekend?
I certainly hope so. I got high noon on Sunday. I got special report Monday, but would love to squeeze a little time in on the golf course. How many under par are you currently? I got a long way to go, Big John. You're single digits, though, right? I mean, honestly. I got into the game 5-6 years ago, so I still got a long way to go. But I love it. Yeah, me too. I started when I was 54,
So that was pretty late, but I must say I really love it, and I feel like I just figured something out, about keeping you're a righty, right?
Yes.
Okay. Keeping your right elbow pasted to your side on the takeaway, the old Ben Hogan, way, keep the elbows pasted. And I just finally figured that out. And then my hoof went bad again, so I'm on injured reserve during all this great weather.
Well, wishing you a full and speedy recovery and get you back out on the course.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. Have a great week.
Thank you, John.
Take care.
Thanks so much.